Hi everyone! Today I'm gonna play with I think it's called SFAIH, I'm not quite sure, but it's a pack of 48 washable markers. It comes in a bag with a zipper, very much like the way a lot of alcohol-based markers come in these days. And as you can tell, they in fact do look like they could be alcohol-based markers. They really look like them. Same barrel, two different nibs on each end, but it do say washable markers, so they are water-based. Both caps have a little protruding piece of plastic that prevents them from rolling off your table. And on one end you have a chisel nib, and the other end has a brush nib, which is really nice. I really like those brush tips. The pack also comes with a plastic sheet that you can put under the paper you're working on in case you go a little heavy on the layers and it goes through. At least it's not going to go through to the next page. Since they're washable markers, I would advise to use some kind of thick paper anyway, a watercolor or mixed media, and then this should not happen. But it's good to have this just in case. There is also a swatching sheet, as well as a little pamphlet. So I swatched all the colors. I followed the numbers on the swatching card. It was at times hard to find, but then you get used to it and then it gets easier to find. I mean, the letters in front of the numbers usually stand for the kind of color you're looking for, like R for red, so you're looking for the red end of the markers, YR, yellow red, so you're looking for some orangey color. So it's not that hard. I use the brush nibs to do the swatches and it looks really nice. You can see the streaks because it's not alcohol based, it's water based, and so it's normal. Think of them more like coloring markers, like what you use when you were a kid. That's this kind of ink inside. And then when I was done, I realized that there were also two fine liners in this set, which is really nice. It was a happy surprise. One is a small calligraphy pen. It's a rubber nib that's flexible. It's kind of like a little brush, like a Fude pen. And the other one is a regular fine liner, 0.5. They're both waterproof and fade resistant. And so I decided that I had to include them in my test, in my painting, my drawing. So as you can see, with all the swatches there's a nice variety of colors. There's some different hues as well, different, some are dark, some are light. I think it's pretty nice. You can do a lot of things with these colors. And there are a few grays as well. You can also blend them because they're washable. You can blend them and get more colors. I checked on the other side of the swatch card, which was pretty thick paper already, some kind of cardstock. Nothing bled through. You can't tell that I put anything on that side. So I used a Montval, Canson Montval sketchbook, which has 140-pound watercolor paper in it. It is cellulose, and the reason why I picked cellulose is that cotton paper usually absorbs the paint pretty fast. And with the cellulose paper, the pigments usually stay at the surface, which gives you more time to dilute the pigments with a wet brush if you want to have a more watercolor effect. I first swatched the fine liners, which are just like regular fine liners. They're great, I like them. And then I started blending 3 different colors together and they did a really good job. I liked it. And actually I found that on this paper the colors look more vibrant than on the cardstock that came for the swatches. So I was pretty excited about it. The pigments diluted really nicely and they look very pretty. So then I tried to see how waterproof the fine liners were, and they bled a tiny little bit, but I think that I didn't wait long enough for them to dry. It's watercolor paper, so it might take a little while for them to dry, but after a while they worked much better. They didn't bleed as much. So make sure you give them enough time to dry if you're going to use them before you use the watercolor.
Microfiche file.
Alright, so it's time for full transparency here. I had painted this before on the other page for my Monvad watercolor sketchbook, and I was not happy with the result. And the reason why is because there are some larger areas to color, and in my opinion, they looked too streaky and I didn't like the result. So I think that these markers would probably be better for smaller areas to color rather than larger ones. They're not as forgiving as alcohol markers. That said, I thought that they might work differently with different papers. So I decided to try this Muse watercolor paper, which is hot press, and I've used it with poster colors before. I really like it. It feels thin, but it's actually pretty thick, pretty dense. So because it's very smooth, I thought it would work pretty good. So I used a light box to transfer my sketch from the previous drawing that I did, or the previous painting that I did, and I started coloring it, and it did work better than with the other paper. I liked it much better. It's still a little streaky, but I think it's normal because of the nature of these markers. It's just like kids markers, but with a much better nib. I really like that brush. I didn't have any problems layering. The paper was thick enough. The paper is watercolor paper, so it takes a lot of water. So if you use just very thin paper like printer paper, you might not have the same good results. Just so you know, use something thick enough. But I did try to wait between layers for each layer to dry to make sure I didn't damage the paper. Another way I use them, besides just coloring, just putting the brush straight on the paper, is by putting the pigment on a ceramic palette and picking it up with a damp brush, and I was able to use it just like watercolor. Gave me really nice results, and you could just do a whole painting that way if you wanted to, but then again, you wouldn't have fun using the brush nib, which I really like. I think I've already said that before. When I was done adding all the colors, or most of them at least, I decided to use one of the fine liners to line my drawing. I thought it would tie everything together and make it look better. The fine liner works really great. Just like any other fine liner that I've tried before. I did not try to be super exact or super precise. It was just a sketch that I did to try the markers. And also I wanted to practice drawing from life a bit more, and so I had the pack of markers right in front of me doing this, which was fun. So these markers are eco-friendly and safe. They are water-based brush markers that have non-toxic odorless ink that is washable and complies with the STM D4236 standards, which basically means they're safe and kids can play with them. So all in all, I think they're really fun markers, and I had so much fun that I actually ended up wanting to draw a little bit more. So I added a couple markers on the paper right next to the sketch, just for a little extra fun. These markers definitely are worth exploring, trying out, play with them. I have more exploring to do with them, see how else I can use them, see if I would get different results with other kinds of paper, and I'm excited to play with them more. So thank you, SFAIH. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry, but thank you for sending them to me. They are a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're feeling generous and would like to help support this channel, you can always click on the thanks button right next to the share button. Let me know if you've tried these before or something similar, and which kind of paper you like using best with them. Do bear in mind that they are not quite the same as actual watercolor markers. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you all for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye bye!